his little furry body back up the bar. Hello everyone and welcome. I am Dr. Sparks and this is Typewriter Stories. Let's go ahead and get right to it.
I know a place that's really cool. It's up higher than any school. Grab a jetpack and some fuel, 'cause we're going up high, high in the sky. Come on up for a ride with your good friends at your side. Imagination is your guide, 'cause it's Dr. Sparks' Science Story Typewriting Time.
Hello everyone and welcome. I'm Dr. Sparks and this is Typewriter Stories. Every single day of the week at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, I lead a celebration of the creativity and storytelling of children. Guests Zoom call into my studio, and then, using this mechanical typewriter, we come up with a series of stories. And then these stories are brought to life through the illustrations of our incredible illustrator, the indefatigable Cecilia Olivera-Hillway, who right now is in the midst of drawing an incredible gymnastics chipmunk I am going to be telling you all about in just a hot second. Now, we also are very fortunate today to have some other guests as well, starting with the incredible Brian Sonia Wallace, who is actually going to be reading our riddle today. Brian just had a book come out, and we're going to tell you all about it in a hot second. But also today, we have the incredible Mason and Reagan, who are joining us as well. We're coming up with their stories, and they have already given us an incredible beginning to a story, right, Mason? We've got this chipmunk, and what's the chipmunk's name?
Braden.
Braden the chipmunk. And Braden the chipmunk has an unusual ability or talent. And what is that ability or talent?
Gymnastics.
He is the greatest gymnast that the chipmunk world has ever seen. If you've ever thought to yourself, boy, I don't think chipmunks could ever do a backflip or a pirouette or hit the pommel horse and, I don't know, spin some sort of crazy way, well, this chipmunk would prove you wrong. Braden has does cartwheels over the Grand Canyon, and he's done front flips over the Serengeti Desert. What other things can he do? What other event?
He can jump over the Statue of Liberty.
With a spring, he jumps over the emblem of freedom. And, you know, the Statue of Liberty, you got to be very careful because she's got a very pointy crown and a very pointy torch. So you really got to clear her by a fair amount or else you're going to get poked somewhere. So, Braden, though, wants something really, really badly. What does he want?
He wants a trophy filled with acorns.
You see, the Olympics are happening. The Chipmunk Olympics. And the winner of the Chipmunk Olympics gets a trophy that is filled with acorns. And Braden, he wants that trophy. He wants it so badly. It's all he can think of. At night, when he goes to bed, he dreams of backflips and that trophy. And during the day, when he's walking around his little treehouse home, or do chipmunks live above ground or below ground? I actually don't know. Do they live in holes in the ground?
Above. They live in trees.
Cecilia, do you know where chipmunks live?
Well, there are different kinds of chipmunks, and some live in trees, and some others in little rocks. We had some chipmunks by the beach the other day. So, you know, among the rocks they live. So they can live. They're adaptable. They can live in several places.
Well, maybe this chipmunk. Well, do you think this chipmunk lives at the gym? Then, if he's always going to be a gymnast?
Yeah.
His primary habitat. What's that? What was that?
He lives in a mouse hole, and that's where he lives.
He lives in a mouse hole in the gym, and that's where he's always practicing. He eats, sleeps, and dreams training for the Olympics. And so finally, the big day arrives. And they finally are having this incredible event. And the stands are filled with cheering chipmunks. And they're going, ah, ah. And they're all standing around and watching Braden as he's just about to start his event. And the first event is the monkey bars. And it's tough because Braden is not a monkey, he's a chipmunk. And what happens when he goes on these monkey bars? Tell me, Mason.
he rushes across all the fourth ones, going on the ninth one. He falls down, but he's hanging by his tail, and then he springs back up. It grabs onto the other one and wins the whole entire fourth thing.
This is wonderful. So he's frantically. So picture this. He's been training his entire life for this moment. This is Braden's moment to shine. He wants nothing more than to win right now. So he climbs the monkey bars, and he's in such a rush. He's going hand over hand over hand over hand. The first 8 monkey bars go by in a flash, lickety-split. But the 9th monkey bar, this monkey bar, doesn't go well. He moves too fast. He bonks his head. And suddenly, whereas before he had 2 hands on the bar, now all he has is his tail wrapped around. And everybody in the audience goes, ah! 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 Some lady dressed in Victorian clothes, she faints dead away. Ah! They're so upset. They can't bear, it's just too suspenseful to see him suspended like that. But Braden has been practicing for far too long to give up. So he thinks of the trophy filled with acorns, his dream for all these years. And with a Herculean effort, with all of the strength that he possesses, he reaches up and he grabs onto the bar. And then he grabs onto the bar with his other hand. And he starts to climb again. And the commentators in their booth, they're like, oh, I don't believe it, guys, but there he's going. He's climbing even higher. I think he's going to make it. He's going to make it. He's going to make it. And what does the crowd sound like whenever he crosses the finish line, monkey bar finish line? Ha, ha, ha. And so sure enough, they put him on a pedestal and they hand him the trophy. And the trophy is filled with acorns, and he devours the acorns there on stage, and they taste like acorns, and they taste like victory smashed together, like victory acorns. That's what they taste like. And Braden's name is engraved on the trophy, and they fill it back up with acorns for the next person, and for the rest of his life, he will remember that moment as the ultimate moment of victory and acorn delight. Is that how the story ends, do you think?
Yes.
All right. He pulled his little furry body back up the bar. At last, he crossed the finish line, and they gave him the trophy filled with acorns. The end. And let's check in one more time to see what Cecilia has drawn. She's had the monkey bars. I didn't expect that, Cecilia.
So, I originally had him doing a flip, but I'm like, oh, maybe I should adapt it, and he'll have his tail around the monkey bar, and this is him trying to reach over the next one so he can get up again.
I love the little acorn on his his t-shirt there. That's wonderful. Oh man. Okay. So,
You did a great job.
we have an illustration to go with his story, and we have the story all written out now. But the one thing we don't have is a title for this story. So, what do you guys think we should call this story?
Braden Rudd Gymnastics.
It's Braden Does Gymnastics.
Yeah.
I love it. Perfect. Braden Does Gymnastics. Okay, wonderful. And now the next thing that I need to do is to mail this story to you. So what I've got here is a stamper. I'm going to stamp your story with a number of stories that I've written. That was my 2030th story. Now very carefully fold your story up into thirds. I've got an envelope with your name on it, your names on it. Carefully tuck the story inside and put it into the mailbox so that chunk. The mail truck will carry the letter all the way to you. And it looks like we've got some comments coming in from Facebook. So Libby Bellardi says, great job, Mason and Reagan. Great story. And a heart emoji. So you guys are Facebook famous. You guys are basically YouTube stars at this point. Okay, so every day of the week when we do our typewriter stories, we also have a riddle. Oh, and your mom says we love Braden the Chipmunk. So we have a very special reader today, riddle reader today that I want to introduce you to. So today joining us is Brian Sonia Wallace, who is a typewriter poet. I met him in Los Angeles, which is where he's based now. And he is the rent poet. He pays his rent. Well, tell us a little bit about yourself, Brian, because I cannot possibly do you justice. And you are yourself a wordsmith.
Hello, sure. Thank you for having me on. I'm Brian, and super happy to be here. I am a poet, which means that I make words that sound pretty. And you know how if you ever have like a song that you hear that song and you're like, oh my God, I always really feel that song. A poet's the person who is making the words for that song. But often we don't even put music behind our words. We're like, these words are so good, they'll stand on their own. And I'm so excited to be here sharing the riddle for today.
Yeah, so please tell us what this riddle is. We're dying to hear it.
All right, here we go. Here we go. This is the riddle. Of cats I am deathly afraid. As for cheese, your kitchen I'll raid. Whiskers and tail quick as a gale, I'll avoid all those snap traps you've laid. What am I?
So if you're watching at home, please leave your answer in the comments. And if you get the answer correct, something crazy is going to happen to me here in the studio. So you have that power to drop something on my head. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but it's very exciting, I promise you. Now, Brian, you just had a book come out, didn't you?
I did. I've been enjoying this quarantine in part through sending a little piece of my brain written down on paper to lots of other people around the world and having them read it and talk to me about it, which is super exciting.
Mm-hmm. I have read your book.
It's called The Poetry
Yeah.
of Strangers. Oh, look, we got it!
I do. It is a great book, let me tell you. I really enjoyed it. It's if you like. Oh wait, somebody just answered the riddle, or they have an answer to the riddle.
Ooh, here we go.
Kate Keene thinks that the answer to the riddle is a mouse. So
With so many questions.
yeah, guys, is that the answer to the riddle? Is that correct? Oh, and Libby thinks the answer is a mouse as well.
Yes.
Yeah, you can see it type up. Is that the right answer?
What?
Is the answer a mouse?
Yes.
Oh, the answer is a mouse. Okay. Well, that typically means that something's going to happen to me. Do you guys know what that is?
Mm-hmm. I want to tell the audience. Yeah.
Your mom thinks the answer is a mouse as well. Well, with everybody doing so well, I have to tell you that you are correct. The answer is a mouse. And so something crazy has to happen to me. And that is, bananas! Great job, those of you who are watching at home. And leave more comments so I can show off my auto typewriter there, because it's really fun. All right. So with that, if you want to find out more about Brian's book, you can actually go to, sorry, I'll do the different overlay there, but you can go to briansoniawallace.com, which is one place that you can actually find the book to buy it. Thank you so much. And Mike actually thinks the answer is a mouse emoji, which the typewriter can handle emojis somewhat, but not great. Thanks for that, Mike. Okay, now we have time for one more story today, guys. And what kind of a story would you like? Shall we write about another chipmunk? Or what do you think?
I want to let Reagan do this one.
Can you speak up a little bit? I'm having trouble hearing you.
I want Reagan to do this one.
Yeah, sure. Reagan, what kind of a story would you like? I've got 30 keys here. We can press them in any number of combinations. What do you think?
Of course.
What was that?
A horse.
A horse. Yes. And is this what is the horse's name?
Alvin.
Alvin the horse?
Yes.
Alvin the horse. There's bananas all over my foot pedal there. There we go. Alvin the horse was a good horse. Was he the best horse?
Yes.
Was he the best horse?
Yes.
Is that a yes, Reagan?
Yes.
Yes. And what does the best horse spend his days doing? Or what is the best, or is, what does he want? What story should we write about this best horse in the world?
He always goes up people's roofs, and he at the tippy top he always does a cartwheel.
This horse is like the Santa Claus of gymnastics. So he's this incredible horse, the best horse in the entire world. And he climbs up to the top of your house's roof and he does a cartwheel. Cecilia, how do you feel about a cartwheeling horse?
I think I can manage that. Thank you. Let's see.
I'm glad that Cecilia's trying to draw that one and not me, because I could not draw a horse to begin with, but a cartwheeling horse is tough. Okay, why does he go to the top of houses and cartwheel? Does he have a reason, or does he just do it because he loves to cartwheel on people's houses?
He loves to cartwheel in people's houses.
And do the people love it when he does it, or are they scared that he's going to fall in through the roof?
He's scared that he's going to fall in the roof.
So you've got these people that are like cowering in their house looking up. They're always unsure. It's like me when the bananas are above my head. I never really feel safe, because at any moment there could be a straggler that falls and hits me on the head. So they're afraid of Alvin the horse, although he's still the best horse. And he does his cartwheels on the roofs. And do you think, does he fall in through somebody's roof?
No.
What do you think happens then? Is this just a story of like this horse that does cartwheels everywhere and nothing bad ever happens?
Yes.
So let's talk about this horse then. This horse was amazing. The best horse the world had ever seen. This horse could climb ladders. How does he get into the top of these roofs?
He jumps all the way to there.
He's a fantastically bouncy horse who with a single spring can leap from the first floor of a building all the way to the 7th floor of a building. Does he only go on top of houses, or does he climb onto like skyscrapers, like, you know, the Sears Tower, the Empire State Building? Can you find that horse doing cartwheels up there too?
Anything that's high.
So he bounds. He starts out small, surely, right? You know, he climbs onto the roof of your house and he cartwheels, and everybody's like, oh, geez, this horse, he's going to fall through the roof. But no, he's a more ambitious horse than that. Next, he leaps onto the top of your school, and he's cartwheeling around, and and then he leaps to the top of the hospital. He leaps to the top of the Empire State Building, and then he starts eyeballing even bigger things to leap on top of. Does he jump onto airplanes that are flying low?
Yes.
And then what? Spaceships? Meteors?
Yes. But it was high and circled and hard, and that's hard to jump.
He goes as high as he can possibly jump?
Yes.
I'm picturing here that maybe what happens is this horse, he jumps higher and higher, and everybody sees him, and he becomes more and more famous. Everybody's like, my gosh, have you seen that jumping horse? He just jumped on top of an airplane, and he's doing cartwheels on top of a 747. Well, the only place to go from there is up higher. And I think maybe the story could end with the horse becoming a constellation. That now whenever we look up at the stars, you can trace out the horse's body and all those stars and say, oh, that's not Cassiopeia. Oh, that's not the Big Dipper, or what, I'm blanking on other constellation names. Cecilia, do you know any other constellations I'm forgetting?
Orion.
Orion, yes, with the belt. Look at this cartwheeling horse. So, what do you think? Do you think in the end the horse becomes a constellation? Is like trapped forever in the stars?
Yes.
And how wonderful is that? Now, when all the other horses on the ground look up at the sky, which they don't often do, but they sometimes do, they can see that glittering horse up there, that crazy cartwheeling horse. Alvin the horse, a good horse, the best horse, who is now, for all eternity, immortalized in the stars above us as the earth spins slowly in its orbit. I think that's a lovely story. Should I put the end at the end of that story? Is that how it ends?
Yeah.
Okay. And at long last, when there was nowhere else to jump, Alvin jumped into the stars and became a constellation burning brightly above the horizon for the rest of the horses to see and admire. The end. And tell me, Reagan, what is that story called?
The horse jumping.
The horse jumping. Or is it a horse jumping?
A horse jumping.
A horse jumping. That's a great title for this story. I like that a lot. Let's take one more look at Cecilia's cartwheeling horse. I just love it so much.
I still have to erase all the lines because I kept making the movement, but yeah, he's happy.
And so now what I'm going to do is mail this story to you. So I'll take it out of the typewriter. And I will stamp it. 2031 is the number of that story. Carefully tuck it into the thirds and put it into the envelope. This time I'm going to add an astronaut stamp. And then tuck it in so that and the mail truck will carry the letter all the way to you. That mail truck is really reliable, as mail trucks are, except cardboard doesn't do so well with rain and snow. So on dry days, it'll get to you. Otherwise, you might have some issues. So guys, that was awesome. A pair of amazing stories. Thank you so much for sharing your stories with us. If you're watching at home, thank you for answering the riddle. We had a lot of answers. 4 people got the answer correct. Kate, Libby, Bridget, and Mike all got the answer correct. So thank you for tuning in, guys. I'm Dr. Sparks. Our illustrator is the indefatigable Cecilia Olivera-Hillway, who proved it is possible to draw a cartwheeling horse, which before today I would have told you was an impossibility, but apparently is not. Today, our riddle reader was the also indefatigable Brian Sonia Wallace. And once again, if you want to find his book, you can go to briansoniawallace.com. And I would like to once again heartily endorse it. It was a great and rollicking read. I really enjoyed it. You can find out how he was the poet laureate of, the writer in residence, poet in residence of Amtrak, right? And writer in residence of the Mall of America. It is a wild story. It's just great. So you should read the book. Our producer is Matt Chilbert, and this is an Anything Place show. If you liked what you saw here today, you can go to drsparks.com to sign your kid up to be part of a future episode. And also, you can become a Patreon subscriber there or throw a tip our way. Oh, and somebody's typing up more things. Libby Keen-Belardi says, it's so much fun. Thank you. Well, thank you, Libby, for tuning in and supporting these kids as they write these incredible stories. To end with, I'd like to leave you with this thought. What's that?
Thank you.
Thank you guys. I want to leave you with this thought that words have power, and by telling stories, we change the world. Until tomorrow, guys, I'm Dr. Sparks.
Bye.